In the year 570 CE, the city of Mecca was a bustling hub in the vast Arabian desert. It was a place of stark contrasts, a sanctuary of stone and sand that pulsed with life. The city was dominated by the powerful Quraysh tribe, who were the custodians of the Kaaba, a simple, cube-shaped building that housed numerous idols. Pilgrims from all across Arabia journeyed to Mecca, bringing with them trade, wealth, and a multitude of beliefs. This annual pilgrimage made the city a center of commerce and religion, but it also fostered a fiercely competitive and materialistic culture. The tribal system was the law of the land, where loyalty was to one's clan above all else, and honor was a currency more valuable than gold. Life in Mecca was governed by ancient customs and a complex web of alliances. Strength and lineage were paramount. The strong preyed on the weak, and the poor were often left to fend for themselves. There was a growing spiritual emptiness in this society, a void that the worship of many gods could not fill. The pursuit of wealth had created deep social divides, eroding the traditional Arab values of generosity and communal support. It was a world where tribal feuds could erupt into generations of bloodshed over the slightest provocation. This was the challenging and spiritually restless environment into which a child destined to change the course of history would be born. The Quraysh themselves were divided into various clans, each vying for influence and control over the lucrative pilgrimage trade. The Banu Hashim, one of the most respected clans, held a position of honor, but their influence was not absolute. The air in Mecca was thick with ambition and the clatter of commerce, but beneath the surface, there was a yearning for something more profound. People were searching for meaning beyond the endless cycle of trade, tribal warfare, and idol worship. The social fabric was fraying, and the need for reform was palpable, though few could articulate what that change might look like, or from where it might come. This period, later known as the Jahiliyyah or the Age of Ignorance, was not devoid of virtues. Arabs prized hospitality, courage, and eloquence in poetry. They had a deep connection to their language and their desert heritage. However, the spiritual and moral landscape was barren. The practice of female infanticide was not uncommon, and justice was often a matter of who had the most powerful family to back them up. It was into this complex, vibrant, and deeply flawed society that Muhammad, peace be upon him, was born, his life destined to offer a radical new vision for humanity, rooted in justice, compassion, and the worship of one God. Muhammad, peace be upon him, was born into the esteemed Banu Hashim clan of the Quraysh tribe. His lineage was noble, tracing back directly to the prophets Ibrahim or Abraham and his son Ismail or Ishmael, who were believed to have originally built the Kaaba. This heritage gave him a respected place within Meccan society from the moment of his birth. His father, Abdullah ibn Abd al-Muttalib, was a man of good standing, but he tragically died while on a trading journey, just a few months before his son was born. This meant that Muhammad, peace be upon him, entered the world as an orphan, a status that carried significant hardship in the tribal society of Mecca, where a father's protection was crucial. Following the custom of the Meccan nobility, the infant Muhammad, peace be upon him, was sent to be nursed in the desert by a Bedouin foster mother, Halima al-Sadiya. It was believed that the desert environment would instill in a child the pure Arabic language and the resilient virtues of desert life. He spent his first few years in the care of Halima, living a simple, rustic life far from the city. This time in the desert shaped his character, giving him a deep appreciation for nature and solitude. When he was around 6 years old, he was returned to his mother, Amina bint Wahb. Their reunion was to be heartbreakingly brief. Amina decided to take her young son on a journey to Yathrib, later known as Medina, to visit her family's relatives and the grave of her late husband, Abdullah. The trip was filled with moments of maternal love and connection, but on the return journey to Mecca, Amina fell gravely ill. She passed away in a small village called Abwa, leaving her young son completely orphaned. Now without a father or a mother, the young Muhammad, peace be upon him, experienced profound loss at a tender age. This early experience with grief and vulnerability would foster in him a deep and lifelong empathy for the poor, the marginalized, and especially the orphans. The responsibility for the young orphan then fell to his paternal grandfather, Abd al-Muttalib, the venerable chief of the Banu Hashim. Abd al-Muttalib loved his grandson dearly, often seating the boy beside him on his own cushion near the Kaaba, a place of great honor. He saw a special quality in the boy and protected him fiercely. However, this period of stability was also short-lived. When Muhammad, peace be upon him, was only 8 years old, his beloved grandfather also passed away. The successive losses of his father, mother, and grandfather left an indelible mark on him, teaching him resilience and reliance on a power greater than any human protector. After the death of his grandfather, the care of the young Muhammad, peace be upon him, was entrusted to his uncle, Abu Talib. Though Abu Talib was not wealthy, he was the new chief of the Banu Hashim and a man of great integrity and influence. He loved his nephew as one of his own children, offering him a home, protection, and deep affection. Under his uncle's roof, Muhammad, peace be upon him, grew from a boy into a young man. To help his uncle's family, who faced financial struggles, he began working as a shepherd, tending flocks of sheep and goats on the hillside surrounding Mecca. This humble occupation was common for many prophets, including Moses and David. The life of a shepherd taught him valuable lessons. It required patience, vigilance, and a gentle hand. He spent long hours in solitude observing the vastness of the desert sky and the quiet rhythm of nature. This contemplative work gave him ample time for reflection, far from the chaotic commercialism of the city below. He learned to be responsible and dependable, ensuring the safety and well-being of the animals under his care. These early experiences nurtured a thoughtful and meditative spirit, qualities that would become central to his character and his future mission. He developed a deep sense of compassion for all living creatures. As he grew older, Muhammad, peace be upon him, began to accompany his uncle Abu Talib on trading journeys. These expeditions took him far beyond Mecca, to places like Syria. On one such journey, when he was still a boy, a Christian monk named Bahira reportedly recognized signs of future prophethood in him. Whether a historical event or a later tradition, the story highlights that even in his youth, there was something remarkable about him that captured the attention of wise observers. These travels exposed him to different cultures, religions, and ways of life, broadening his understanding of the world beyond the narrow confines of Meccan tribalism. Throughout his youth and early adulthood, Muhammad, peace be upon him, built a reputation for being exceptionally honest, reliable, and trustworthy. In a society where deals were often broken and dishonesty was common, his integrity stood out. People from all clans began to entrust him with their valuable possessions for safekeeping when they traveled. He became universally known by the titles Al-Amin, the trustworthy, and Al-Sadiq, the truthful. This was not a religious title but a social one, a testament to the impeccable moral character he demonstrated in his daily interactions with everyone, long before he received any divine revelation. By the time Muhammad, peace be upon him, reached his early 20s, his reputation as Al-Amin was firmly established throughout Mecca. His honesty was legendary, and his character was admired by all who knew him. It was this very reputation that brought him to the attention of a remarkable woman named Khadija bint Khuwaylid. Khadija was a wealthy and respected businesswoman, a widow who managed her own extensive trade caravan. She was known for her intelligence, piety, and noble character. Needing a trustworthy agent to manage a trade caravan to Syria, she sought out the most reliable man in Mecca for the job. Khadija hired the 25-year-old Muhammad, peace be upon him, to lead her caravan, sending her trusted servant Maysara to accompany him. During the journey, Maysara was deeply impressed by Muhammad's conduct. He observed his brilliant business acumen, his kindness to others, and his unwavering honesty in all transactions. The caravan returned with profits far greater than expected, but it was Maysara's glowing report of Muhammad's character that truly captured Khadija's interest. She was struck not only by his success but by the profound integrity and compassion he displayed throughout the entire expedition. Impressed by everything she had heard and what she knew of him, Khadija, who was about 40 years old at the time, developed a deep admiration for Muhammad, peace be upon him. Breaking with convention, she took the initiative and, through a trusted friend, proposed marriage to him. Muhammad, peace be upon him, who held Khadija in high esteem, accepted the proposal. Their marriage was a partnership built on a foundation of mutual love, respect, and deep friendship. It was a union that transcended the norms of their society, where a younger man married an older, accomplished woman, who became his greatest supporter and confidant. Their marriage was a period of great peace and happiness for both of them. Khadija's wealth provided Muhammad, peace be upon him, with financial security, freeing him from the daily struggle for sustenance and allowing him more time for contemplation. They had several children together, and their home was one of tranquility and love. Khadija was not just his wife, she was his closest friend and his most steadfast believer. Her unwavering support and wise counsel would prove indispensable in the incredibly challenging years that were to come, solidifying her place as a pivotal figure in the dawn of Islam. As Muhammad, peace be upon him, entered his late 30s, he grew increasingly troubled by the spiritual and moral state of Meccan society. The greed, the injustice, and the worship of lifeless idols weighed heavily on his soul. He felt a deep spiritual yearning that the rituals of his people could not satisfy. Seeking solitude and clarity, he developed a habit of retreating to a small, secluded cave on a mountain called Jabal al-Nur, the Mountain of Light. This cave, known as Hira, was a quiet, rocky sanctuary overlooking the city of Mecca. Here, he would spend days and sometimes weeks at a time in prayer, meditation, and deep reflection. He would contemplate the universe, the meaning of life, and the plight of his community. He prayed to the God of his ancestor Ibrahim, the one unseen creator. It was during one of these solitary retreats in the year 610 of the Common Era, when he was 40 years old, that an event occurred that would forever alter his life, and the history of the world. While he was deep in meditation during the month of Ramadan, he was visited by a powerful presence. He would later identify this being as the angel Jibril, or Gabriel. The angel appeared before him and commanded him with a single powerful word, Iqra, which means read or recite. Terrified and overwhelmed, Muhammad, peace be upon him, replied, I cannot read. He was, after all, unlettered. The angel seized him and squeezed him forcefully, repeating the command, Iqra. Again Muhammad, peace be upon him, protested his inability to read. The angel squeezed him a second time, even more intensely, and commanded him once more. After a third powerful embrace that took all his strength, the angel released him and delivered the first verses of what would become the Quran. Read, in the name of your Lord who created man from a clinging substance. Read, and your Lord is the most generous, who taught by the pen, taught man that which he knew not. Shaken to his core, Muhammad, peace be upon him, fled from the cave, his heart trembling with a mixture of fear and awe. He rushed home to his wife Khadijah and cried out, Cover me! Cover me! She wrapped him in a cloak and comforted him, listening patiently as he recounted the terrifying and awe-inspiring experience. Far from dismissing his account, Khadijah offered immediate reassurance and unwavering belief. Never. By God, God will never disgrace you, she said. You keep good relations with your kin, help the poor, serve your guests generously, and bear the calamities of the people. She was his first believer, her steadfast faith a rock for him in this moment of profound uncertainty and the beginning of his prophetic mission.